Namaste, everybody. Welcome back to Soundarya Lahari Sadhana. Today, we will be taking a deeper dive into Sloka number 24. It's slightly different from what we have seen so far, but it has profound meaning in our life. So we will not only talk about what this means from a cosmic perspective, but also what this means to me, right? So we'll dive deeper into that. Om Shri Matre Namah. May Devi's blessings be with you all, always. Today we have a new verse where it is talking about Pañcakṛtya-parāyaṇā. We know in Lalita Sahasranamam, one of the name to Devi is Pañcakṛtya-parāyaṇā. So this verse talk about the Panchakritya, 5 cosmic. So as I said, Pañcakṛtya-parāyaṇā, the 5 cosmic action. Jagat Sute Dhata Hariravati Rudra Kshapayate Tiraskurvan Netat Swamapi Vapurishastirayati Sada Purva Sarvam Tadita Manugranati cha Shiva Tavatnya Malambya Kshanachalitayo Brulatigayo. So let's look into word meaning. Jagat Sute Dhata. Dhata is Virinji, Lord Brahma. Jagat Sute. Sute means to give birth to. So who give birth to Jagat? Brahma. So Brahma is the creator of the universe. Hari Avati. Harihi Avati becomes Hari Ravati. Avati means protect or maintain or sustain. So who does the sustenance of the world? Hari. Vishnu does the maintenance. Then Rudra Kshapayate. Rudra is Lord Rudra. He does the Kshapayate. Kshapayate is dissolving or destruction or Saṁhāra. So this first line says the Sṛṣṭi, Sthiti, Saṁhāram, 3 cosmic action. So Brahma does the creating of the universe. Hari does the Avati. Hari maintains the universe. And Rudra does the Saṁhāra. That's it. Tiraskurvan netat swamapi vapuhu. So Tiraskurvan is absorbing. Etat swamapi vapur. Who is doing the absorption? Isha. Vapur Isha tirayati. So Isha actually absorbs all these 3 into himself, and then his vapus, he also does the tirayati. Tirayati means veiling, concealing. Not only absorbs all these 3 Brahma, Vishnu, Rudra that we talked about into himself, and he also veils himself. Vapus is body. Isha, Vapurisha, Tirayati. Tirayati means doing the Tirodhāna, or that is the 4th function, is the Tirodhāna, which is done by Isha. Sada Purva Sarvam Tadidam Anugraha cha Shiva. Now, Sada Purva Sarvam and Shiva. So Shiva who has Sada Purvam, Sada in front of Shiva. So the one who is auspicious, which is Shiva, who has Sada in front, the name is actually Sada Shiva. That Sada Shiva Sarvam Tadidam Anugraha. Anugraha means doing the Anugraham. Anugraham is the blessing. So the 5th person is Sadashiva, and Sadashiva does the blessing, Anugraham, to everything. Anugraham to start all this process again. And how does he do that? Tavatnya Malambya. So your Atnya, your command, taking the support of your command, and how is that command given by Devi? This is addressing to Devi. Based on your command, Sadashiva is doing the blessing for new creation. And how is he taking that command? By Chana Chalitayor Bru Latikayo. Bru Latika. Latika means a creeper. A creeper like her eyebrows. Bru is eyebrow. So her eyebrows are like a creeper. Kavi Bhavana. Latika is doing Chana Chalitam. Chana means for a moment. And Chalita means movement. So for a Chanam, her eyebrows are moving. So she's not commanding like do that, do this. She's not using word. She's not using the hands or legs or to do the command. She's only moving her eyebrow a little bit, and that becomes the Atnya or command to Sadashiva for what? To do the whole creation over and again. Like to do the blessing to start the whole thing. Let's look into the full meaning. So Brahma is the creator of the universe, and that universe is maintained by Vishnu, and ultimately it is dissolved by Rudra. Isha or Mahesha turn, these are all different manifestation of Shiva himself. Isha in turn absorbs all the deities into himself and he veils his essence. It's Tirodhāna. He veils his essence. And by a brief flicker of your delicate creeper-like eyebrows, Sadashiva receives the command from Devi and blesses them once again for new creation. So that is the Panchakritya, 5 action. Sṛṣṭi, Sthiti, Saṁhāram, Tirodhānam, and Anugraham. So those are the 5. So this is a famous picture that shows these 5. So we have seen in one of the verses, Shivakare manje Paramashiva Paryanga Nilayam. So that was the verse that we have seen before. That verse actually is saying that she's sitting on a manjam, on a couch, and in that couch, all these 4 people becomes the leg of the table, the manjam. Brahma is on the left side, and then next one in front of her, leg that is on the floor, that is Vishnu, and on the right side is Rudra, and then the 4th one is Isha, who is absorbing everything into him. And then she's actually seated on Sadashiva. So Sadashiva as the bed. And on top of that is Devi is situated. From a Tattum perspective, what this says is that she is the heroine. In Shaktiya, she is the heroine. So she is the one that plans all these 5 functions. And if you are looking into any textbook with the Shiva, these Panchakritya will be done by Shiva. And then there will be some options where Narayana is doing that. So don't get attached to the Rupam, but attached to the principle. So what the principle here is that you can see on top of Sadashiva, Devi is sitting. So Sadashiva is that Nischala Tattva, Ishvara, that Atma, that is not changing, eternally stable, is what Sadashiva. So first verse we said, Shiva Shaktya Yukto Yadi Bhavati Shakta Prabhavidum Nache Devam Devo Nakalu Kushala Spantidumabi. They are united, but because of a Spandanam, the whole universe come forth. So how do you show that in the picture? That is where it is saying that Sadashiva principle is always here, the Adhishtanam, that doesn't change. And on top of that, Devi creates the entire world. So that's why she is seated on top of Sadashiva. That same picture, you can picturize that in the previous verse. Looks like she's the one everywhere, but Sadashiva's principle is underneath always, right? So in one way of looking at that, but here pictorially showing that Sadashiva, all 5 of them are taking command from her and doing the action, but she is the heroine. She is the one who is making that happen. So that tattva, that Shakti tattvam is here. There are 5 cosmic functions created because here Devi is the heroine. She is the one that is taking care of these 5 actions. Verse that is in Lalita Sahasranamam that goes with the same concept is Sṛṣṭi Brahma Rupa, Goptri Govinda Rupini, Saṁhārini Rudra Rupa, Tirodhānakari Ishwari, Sadashivanugrahada, Pañcakṛtya-parāyaṇā. So Sṛṣṭi Brahma Rupa. Taking the Rupa of Brahma, she is doing the Sṛṣṭi, the creation. The Goptri Govinda Rupini. Goptri is protecting as what Govinda Rupini. Govinda is Vishnu. So as Govinda, she is doing the sustenance. Saṁhārini Rudra Rupa. So she's doing the dissolution as Rudra. And then Tirodhānakari Ishwari, the Isha, Mahesha, Ishwari, she's doing the Tirodhanam. And finally, Sadashiva is doing the Anugraha. That is the Panchakritya-parāyaṇā. So she is known as the designer of this Panchakritya, 5 actions, 5 cosmic actions. Now, we can understand these 5 cosmic actions in either macrocosmic level and microcosmic level as well. Brahmandam and Pindandam. Right? Brahmandam is, we can start saying that like the whole Prapancham is created, it's sustained, and then it dissolves. And during the Pralayam, the entire thing gets absorbed back into Ishvara, right? And then he also is absorbed into Sadashiva. So the only 2 people remains during the Pralayam is the Sadashiva and Shakti. That's it. Shakti is the only Sakshi when Shiva is doing that Tandava. Right, during the Pralaya. This is story, but you have to take the essence behind the story. So during the Pralaya, this is happening. And then again, Pantidumabi, or here in this verse, it's showing by the command of her eyebrow moving, Sadashiva starts creating the universe again for renewal. Right? Because in our culture, we don't see time as a linear. We see time as cyclic. There is no start or end, right? it goes on and on and on in a cyclic form. Like a circle doesn't have a beginning or an end, right? So we start, there will be Sṛṣṭi, Sthiti, Saṁhāra, Tirodhāna, Anugraha, then again Sṛṣṭi, Sthiti, Tirodhāna. So it goes on and on in a cycle. But each of these cycle are calculated as like yuga, kalpa, and all that different calculations are there. But regardless, it keeps on repeating. So that is from a macrocosmic level, right? The full prapancham creation and things like that. But then when we can also look into our own body, microcosmic level, when you're having a new thought, new idea, new perception, so that is appearing in your awareness, it's staying in your awareness, and it's actually dying at the end too. Right? Srimati Jayanti from Calicut said a beautiful example, all of the functions, right? In a very simple way. She says that we all have hunger, right? So the hunger starts in our awareness, the hunger is coming. So there is a Sṛṣṭi of hunger. And then it's maintained. So hunger is there. Because of the hunger, we eat. So when we eat, the hunger is dissolved, right? It disappears. Now, when the digestion happens, the whole thing about the hunger is completely forgotten. It's the whole Tirodhāna happens. Now, the digestion process also does the Anugraham to our body, which means that this digestion makes dhatus in our body, right? Because all the food digested goes to sapta dhatu, 7 different dhatus, and the waste is also secreted. So that is Anugraham, right? And that is one example. And then taking our own life, right? So when we were born, we have an infancy. So we can say that infancy is created. Then infancy is maintained for few months. And then infancy actually disappear, right? And then it is completely disappearing into Tirodhanam. Then Anugraham comes to that next stage in life, the toddlerhood, right? So the toddlerhood is born, maintained. Then again, Saṁhāram, Tirodhanam and Anugraham lead to that youth stage. So it's like it goes on, and finally it's ready for us to completely shed our body, right? And then if we have karma behind, then we will get reborn again. So this whole thing that we can look into everything, like what we see, we can look into that Sṛṣṭi, Sthiti, Saṁhāram, Tirodhanam, and Anugraham. Another example is the seasons change, right? Each one is important. We can't say that this one stays forever. That's not like that. So Prakriti is the way is that change, ways to go through this 5 cycle is the law. It keeps on happening. Even when we leave our body, right? This is the principle of life. So we, at some point, we have to leave our body. Now this Sṛṣṭi, Sthiti, Saṁhāram, we say all these things are by Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara and things like that. But just thinking that it is a guna, like we just put a devata to all these functions. So what's the gunam? The gunam is the reason why everything is created. So rajogunam is the one that is responsible for anything Sṛṣṭi. So creation, a rajogunam is required. For maintenance, a sattvika gunam is required. For dissolution, tamo gunam is required. So those are the gunam. And if you can just to add some color to give them devata, stories are easy to remember. So, but you have to always separate that story from the actual principle, right? So that's how you can look into how these different concepts are connected. Now, I understand this. Sṛṣṭi, Sthiti, Saṁhāram, Tirodhanam, and Anugraha. I understand this. Then the big question comes in. So what? Right? Now, the question is, what do we take it from these for our own benefit? So what does this tell us, and how can I use this for my progress, both from a material life standpoint as well as from a spiritual life standpoint? So one of the most important thing is that navigating life's cycles, right? We know that Sṛṣṭi, Sthiti, Saṁhāram, it's a natural cycle, right? So knowing that, we can embrace the change. We can stop fighting the natural endings in life. So what happens is that when we realize that loss of a job or a relationship breaking or kids going away from our life, anything, or even someone that is close to us leaving this earth, right? All these things, that is a necessary step before a new opportunity can be born. So understanding that gives us that perspective. Once you accept it, once you embrace the change, it is better for us than we hold on to that, right? For us, the problem is more like we resist these changes, and that creates so much of lack of peace and stress and tension in our life. So having that detaching from stability, where even when we have a moment of peace and stability, right? We should not cling to them. Good thing is coming, yes, let good thing come. Bad thing is coming, yes, it will also change. That too shall pass, right? That kind of mentality help us with that, navigating through life cycles. Then the Tirodhāna, from a perspective of the big picture, Tirodhāna, you can think of like, let's say Sṛṣṭi, Sthiti, Saṁhāra, they are three people doing the drama. Like Brahma comes, Vishnu comes, and Rudra comes. All three of them did their act of a drama on the stage. And then this Ishvara actually put the curtain down. So he's like, okay, all done. Everything is done. Everybody go home, right? Like that is kind of the Tirobhavam or Tirodhāna, right? So that also understood in terms of like divine veils his Rupam from us, which means that we don't see Shiva. So that we are in Maya. Because of that cosmic concealment or Tirodhanam, we feel that there is no Shiva, and that creates so much of ego, separation. So recognizing that drama is an important part, right? So these are all Bhagavan's Leela, and this will continue. When we are stuck, we don't understand that this is not a permanent thing, right? Things will come and go. My essence is Atma. So understanding that will help us kind of go through this samsara in a little bit more better way until we get that enlightenment. So Tirodhanam is also understood as a concealment of the cosmic nature. Maya, right? Maya kind of makes us feel that I am angry, I am sad, I am depressed, I have tension, all that thing. Maya is making me feel that. So, but in fact, these are all the feelings that is in the mind, and I am that eternal Atma witnessing all these activities in my mind. So right now I feel that I am my mind, but in reality, I'm not the mind. I am that constant Atma, which is actually witnessing, it's revealing the contents of our mind, or whether it is happiness or sadness. So now we are not understanding it. We are always getting pulled by this Vishaya, right? But this Maya is pulling us. There's a funny thing in Kathopanishad, speaking of pulling us towards Maya. Kathopanishad says that Bhagavan created all of us with all five senses, and all the senses are looking outward, right? And then all the scriptures says that look inward, look inward, look inward. So there is some deficiency in creation, right? It feels like all our senses are outwardly looked, but we are being asked to look inward. So this force of looking outward, the Vishaya, the senses, the mind, it's very powerful. So we have to slowly, Shanaihi, we have to slowly take it inward so that we understand that we are that Atma. So slowly understand that will help. But then what is that action we can do now to understand that? It's that surrendering that we said. So we tell Devi that I don't have the willpower. The Vishaya is pulling me outward, right? I don't have the energy to shift my attention to all these things that my mind is pulled me forward. I don't have the power, but I am surrendering to you. Give me that divine grace. Give me that Anugraha. So that surrendering attitude will help us go inward a lot more. So that inviting grace, right? But again, inviting grace is not something that doesn't come without our effort. So we have to do our sadhana, we have to clean our mind, we have to purify, we have to stabilize, all that thing we have to do by our own sadhana. But then with that sadhana and that surrendering mentality, we will be able to slowly understand what Atma is. There is a beautiful Sloka. It's actually from Prapanna Gita. It's a story related to Mahabharata. The background is Krishna is seeing Duryodhana and asking Duryodhana, why are you doing all these actions, like all this adharma? And then Duryodhana is answering, Janami dharmam najame pravritti, janami adharmam najame nivritti. So janami dharmam, I know what is dharmam, but I'm not able to do the dharma. Najame pravritti. Janami adharmam najame nivritti. I know what is adharmam, but I'm not able to stop doing the adharmam. Right? So now what did we all do listening to these two words? We put Duryodhana in the accused window. Then we like, oh, Duryodhana is bad. Just imagine our own life, right? We know that we are not supposed to eat all the junk food. How many of us are able to resist the junk food, right? Not only that, how many of us are not able to do things that we are not supposed to do, like getting angry, getting jealous, get all that thing. We know that they are adharma, but we are doing that. So it actually says that the Maya is so powerful. So it is not always that we are able to do what dharma, or we are not able to stop adharma. So it's not just Duryodhana's problem, it's our problem as well, right? But there is a difference though. In Duryodhana's perspective, he says that Kenapi devena hridistitena yatha niyuktosi tada karomi. He says that there is some force in me that is making me do all this. It's not my fault. Something in me is making me do all that. So he just completely give away his power. That's the difference between Duryodhana and Arjuna. Arjuna also, it's exactly the same situation. Arjuna had so much attachment to his Swajana, the people, and then he didn't want to do the Dharma Yuddha. He didn't want to do the Dharma. At that moment, Dharma for Arjuna was to fight, but he's not able to do because of that extreme attachment to his Swajana. So now, but there is a difference between Duryodhana and Arjuna, because Arjuna says that first he does all the rationalization. The yuddham is bad. What do I need to get by doing the yuddham? I don't need rajyam, all that thing. He's saying all the rationalization of his situation. But finally he understands, and then he does the complete surrendering to Bhagavan Krishna, and then asks, tell me what I can do. Right? So that surrendering is showing in the same verse. Sanatana Goswami, he's one of the Goswami of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, and he, in his Kriti called Hari Bhakti Vilasa, he took that same verse, but then put it in a what I can do from a Arjuna's perspective, kind of Arjuna's perspective, and all of our perspective, right? So it's the same thing. Janami dharman najame pravrti, janami adharman najame nivritti, tvaya rishikesha hridistitena, yatha niyuktosmi tatha karomi. Tvaya Rishikesha Hridistitena. Please, Rishikesha is Krishna. Please stay in my heart and tell me what exactly do. That is showing the complete surrendering to Krishna. So here we are talking about complete surrendering to Devi. Devi, the Maya is so powerful. I'm not able to get out of that grip of Maya. So I'm surrendering to that Devata, whichever that your Ishta Devata is, here Krishna. So that is what we can do, right? While doing all the dharma, actually do that surrendering, that attitude get us closer to the Chitta Shuddhi and Chitta Sthiti. We do that with Ishwararpana Buddhi, and whatever result we get, we use it as a prasada buddhi. It is Krishna's prasadam or Ishtadevada's prasadam. That way we accept it. And along with that, the sadhana to purify mind will definitely take us closer to that one. And then what is the benefit of doing all this? That we will have the freedom from suffering, right? Let's not even go to the Punarjanman and all that thing, but just simply even right now, we will have the reduction of our suffering. Jagat Sude Dhata Hariravati Rudra Kshapayate Tiraskurvanetat Swamapi Vapurisha Tirayati Sada Purva Sarvam Taditamanu Grihnati cha Shiva Tavajna Malambya Chana Chalitayo Pru Latikayo. Brahma is the creator, which is maintained by Vishnu and ultimately dissolved by Rudra. Isha absorbs all these into himself and veils his essence. By a brief flicker of your delicate eyebrows, Sadashiva receives the command from Devi and blesses them one more time for new creation. Recommended sadhana is meditation at the beginning of the practice, 5 minutes. You can use either Swami Tadatmananda's meditation or the ones that I sent over, what we created, whichever suits you. Even Swamiji's one, there are a lot of meditation. See which one suits you the best and then stick with it. then Guru, Ganesha, then Dhyana Slokam with Manasa Puja. Manasa Puja is an important element. You can think of like it is actually telling, I am not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not that. So whatever we think our body is what is represented as the prana, and then all the Panchabhuta, body and mind are created by the Panchabhuta. So all the Panchabhuta, I'm negating, neti, neti, neti. And then I slowly recognize that I'm just that Shuddha Chaitanya, right? So saying that repeatedly will, some point, will get into our bodha. So that is the Dhyana Sloka. And then Stotram, then Panchakshari 108 times, and finally ending with Guru. So that's our sadhana pattern.
Jagalsude dhada hariravadi rudra kshapayate tiraskurvannetat swamapi papurishastirayati sada purvas sarvam tadidamanugrannadi cha shiva tavajñāmalambya kshanachalitayorbrūlatikayoh.
Om Shri Matre Namah. May Devi's blessings be with you all, always. Sarvam Shri Jagadambika Padaravindarpanamastu.